This video will contain spoilers from the off, so remember, you've been warned. Kids Kenny, the harrowing scream on top of the cliff, and the transition into San Junipero. All moments that are so memorable in the show, and that's only to name a few. Season 6 of Black Mirror has just been released, and it's safe to say that it received some mixed reviews. I for one thought it was a pretty good season. It embodied what Black Mirror stands for at its core, which is the demise of a character which can be supported by the incorporation of technology. And it also tried some new things too. What Black Mirror tends to do in each of its episodes is include powerful moments that really hit you in the gut. With me calling out powerful moments in the past which contained moments from previous seasons, I thought it would be worth doing it again with the release of Season 6. So let's get into it. Here are the 5 most powerful moments in Black Mirror. Number 5. Loch Henry, for your film. Just making it into the list is the conclusion of Loch Henry. There were a couple of moments in this episode that gave me that stomach-dropping, gut-hitting punch, such as when it was revealed that Davis's father Kenny was involved in the murders, and even when we saw what happened to his mother, it was pretty dark. But for me, the most powerful moment was when after Davis received the BAFTA, the award that he always wanted to get for something that he created, he pulled out the note that we saw his mother writing just before the end. I thought it was going to say, "Forgive me," but instead it read, "For your film," something which was so unsettling and haunting to read. It highlighted that Janet had no regrets over the actions that she carried out, and that she almost saw it as the piece of entertainment that everybody else went on to view the documentary series as. The disconnect was present for everybody else other than Davis, and this note paired with the call with Stuart really highlighted that. Davis wanted it all, and he got it, but in order to get it, he had to lose everything that he ever cared about. He was on his own, and it was no longer worth it. It wasn't a piece of entertainment for him, it was real, and as he sat there, BAFTA in view, note in hand and with a flute of champagne, I think he realised that none of it was worth it, and that if he could, he'd go back. It was such a great moment that really did catch me off guard. Number 4. Be Right Back, the scream. This is a moment that I think is severely underrated in the show. It was one of the first moments to give me chills when watching Black Mirror. This was a beautiful episode anyway that tested the moral decision around if it was okay to essentially create another version of your partner if they died, based on their social media activity. But the moment in this episode that did it for me was during the climax. Martha and Ash were at the top of the cliff where she took him to make him jump off so that she could be rid of the conflict that she had in her mind over what she was doing. As she came to realize that the being in front of her wasn't the person that she fell in love with, and it only made her miss the original Ash more. We saw such emotion on top of the cliff. Ash originally looked joyous, then confused, and then begged to not make him jump, which was something that was so emotional to witness. The switch in emotions was so impressive, and it made you as a viewer feel even more emotionally invested. However, the moment that topped it all was when we saw Martha looking extremely overwhelmed by what was going on, and as Ash was begging, she looked out in the distance and let out the most harrowing scream that rippled through my whole body. The reverb effect on the scream, along with the cut to black, made it feel incredibly powerful, and it still is to this day one of my favourite moments in the entirety of the show, and possibly one of the most emotional. The score behind this scene as well, which is called Jump, was also composed so perfectly, and it allowed this scene to feel like a real piece of art. Number 3. The Entire History of You, Goodbye to the Memories. A moment that has been the most powerful in the past but now sits in third is the ending to The Entire History of You. This was a moment of pure brilliance. I felt such emotion when watching this scene play out, and when it just cut to black and the credits rolled, I was sitting there with my eyes wide open in awe of what I just watched. This episode was an extremely intimate episode and a not so far from the future love story. With Liam finding out about how Fee cheated on him and that his daughter that he believed was his wasn't, after the witnessing of the affair on the grain, we saw it cut to a little while later in the future, where Liam was just reliving his memories and we could see the pain that he was in. The score in this final scene was something that was truly remarkable and captured the tone perfectly. Liam was walking through the hallway in his house and watching his memories that were filled with such life and colour. But then it would cut to the present day and it would be dark, grey, and like there was no hope. This was where we saw him make the decision that he wanted to cut the grain out, something which we previously heard was extremely painful to do. It was here where the focus on the eyes was something that was extremely important and translated across the screen so well. Even when watching the memories, you could see the pain that he was in and the want to just rid himself of a lifetime of being able to access them, showing that it was almost like a ghost in the closet. As he ripped the grain out of his head, we got the memory of the most important thing in his life, Fee, flashing in front of his eyes before the show cut to black, allowing us to see his last memories as he did. It was such a powerful moment and one that I think is just so poetically beautiful. Number 2, Beyond the Sea, Take a Seat. Now this was a moment that definitely deserves to be up high in the most powerful moments. After witnessing the replica technology in this episode, we saw David slowly catching feelings for Lana whilst in Cliff's replica. We saw that the tension between David and Cliff was at the highest that it had ever been at, hence why we saw David's ability to use the replica be relinquished. However, this was where the trouble started. With the jealousy embedded within David and the understanding that Cliff never appreciated what he had in front of him due to him being absent when he was back on Earth in his replica form, David trapped Cliff outside in open space after calling him back for an emergency. And at the point where I thought he was going to leave him out there to die so David could take the form of Cliff and be with Lana on Earth, instead the opposite happened. With Cliff being let back in, we saw him go down to Earth in a panicked state, and he saw that his whole family had been butchered by David in his replica, as he awoke covered in blood. David butchered Cliff's family just like how his whole family was at the start of the episode, showing that he didn't appreciate what he had when he had it, and that it was too late to change, as now they were gone. The most haunting and powerful moment came though when David kicked out the chair for Cliff, as if to imply, come on, back to work. Both humans needed to be alive in order for the mission to be a success. If one person died, then the other would too, as it needed to be controlled by two individuals. Cliff had to now sit there working alongside the person who killed his whole family for the next 4 years, and he couldn't do anything about it. It was definitely one of Black Mirror's bleakest endings, and it really did take me by surprise. Number 1, Shut Up and Dance, Kids Kenny. The moment that I believe is the most powerful moment in the entirety of Black Mirror comes from Season 3, Episode 3, Shut Up and Dance. When you think about it, it's probably a good job that San Junipero was the episode that followed on after this one, as Shut Up and Dance was such a dark episode. After following Kenny around after trying to fulfill the tasks that the blackmailers were making him do in order to get them to not post a video of him doing something in front of his webcam online, the most powerful moment came right at the end. We saw Kenny go to the lengths of needing to fight to the death whilst it was being filmed, and at the moment where he eventually thought that he had won and was free of it all, the complete opposite happened. The flashing blue sirens approached, and a Kenny who was covered in blood was the main focus as he answered a phone call that was ringing from his mother. As he answered it, we heard, "Kids Kenny," being screamed by her. They were kids, showing exactly what Kenny had been looking at online, and the reason as to why he was going to the extreme lengths to get the blackmailers to not post the video, because everybody would then know what he truly was. The way that his mother screamed the line, you could feel the emotion that was in her voice. However, it was contrasted with a completely emotionless Kenny who had failed, despite doing all that he could and went to great lengths, even killing somebody in order to keep his dark secret hidden, but it just wasn't possible. He didn't even have it in him to be able to run away. Kenny was broken. It was such a powerful moment that really did make you sit there after and question what you just watched, and how it managed to hit you as hard as what it did. The fact that at the start of the episode you were almost rooting for Kenny in order to stop the blackmailers, and then in the final few seconds turning against him, was a change in emotions and mood that no show has ever done that quickly, and the fact that it ended straight away after made it even more abrupt and powerful. And that's the reason that I feel it deserves the spot as the most powerful moment in the entire show. There are so many great moments in the show, so it's hard to pick 5 as there are so many powerful ones. But let me know what yours are. I will say though, the ending of White Christmas was very close to getting into the list. So, there you have it, the 5 most powerful moments in Black Mirror. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What is your most powerful moment? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.